So, I mean, one thing you're also trying to do is teaching students to how to build a personal brand. So next topic we can talk about is why it's so important to build a personal brand. So, I mean, as we're talking about in the car right here, a lot of students, like nowadays, the job market's more competitive. It's like before high school diploma was kind of your entry to job market. Nowadays, it's a college diploma. Everybody has it. Everybody's going through these great universities. Everybody has great internship programs and all this stuff. But what do you think, like, how important is this personal brand, and how do you think someone can curate it on LinkedIn?
Right. Yeah. So I think that, as you touched upon, it's becoming more competitive. I think it's even becoming even competitive to come to college as well. Yep. It's just the level of competition is going exponentially higher. So when it comes to, just even submitting a resume or a cover letter, that's almost like a dead end, like impossible. Yeah, and I'm now even starting to see internal referrals, like actually knowing someone at the company may not even lead to an opportunity because again, there's so much competition. So you got to think, how can I stand out from the guy who has the same GPA, maybe even some relative experience, relatively similar experience? And that's where it comes to personal branding, and LinkedIn is such a powerful platform for that, because it's a platform that's dedicated for professionals to grow. And as a student, you're trying to gain as much experience as you can as college students, internships, research opportunities, and I think that when it kind of curating this personal brand, a way to do that is to just talk about what you're living out as a student. I think that students tend to undermine what exactly they go through day by day. The classes that they do, the projects that they're in, the student clubs that they're involved in. They learn so much, and it's crazy. It's crazy because you can't really articulate that in a one-page resume or even a one-page cover letter, and it's easier to talk about the interview, but again, we can't get to that stage because it's the level of competition. So how can you do that? You can do that through what I did with making the LinkedIn video series, having people talk about their passions. You can maybe write articles and say like, hey, I just went through this introductory computer science course. Here are some of my takeaways, and stuff like that. And I think that is a real tangible way for recruiters, because look at it from a recruiter's perspective. They're seeing the same exact candidate, but it's hard to differentiate who can actually take on the job and who can't. And when you have something like an article where they actually see a student articulating their thoughts and and what they learned, it's so much easier for them to understand, okay, this is a much stronger candidate because they actually know some of the fundamentals of computer science, for example, and how that can actually apply to the job description as well. So I think that's where developing your personal brand is so crucial, and I think it's almost kind of even necessary at this point as we continue on with kind of the recruiting cycle as the years come.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really well said. And the one thing when it comes to a personal brand, I don't think a lot of people understand this, is your personal brand is not what you want to say about you, it's what other people say about you. And that's where I think a lot of people don't really understand it. So that's where article writing or your content really matters, because that showcases to other people what you stand for.
Right.
If you just say, I'm a technology person, I'm a technology expert, and I know these things. Well, it doesn't matter if you just write that out, because you need to have something like an article talking about new technologies, or you're a thought leader in that area, or you show video documentation and it shows your public speaking capabilities, or XYZ. There's so many ways to showcase yourself. And like you said, it doesn't show on a resume. If you have a one-page resume, I feel like what really happens is they're just looking for those taglines like, oh, they know these buzzwords, that's what the percentages you've done, XYZ. They look at your resume for 14 seconds. That's about it.
Right.
And
the thing is that everyone has the kind of those buzzwords like artificial intelligence, data mining. It's like, okay, that's great. So does 2,000 other people. How have you shown skills that data mining, artificial intelligence? And actually, I can actually attest to a personal story of how this has worked. So I interned at PayPal this summer, and when I was interviewing for the role, I had, I think, 4 or 5 interviews, and then after the interview, I would connect with them on LinkedIn, and then I was doing the series. So it was actually a great opportunity, because then the interviewer actually got to look at a couple of my videos, and when I got the job, one thing that they told me is that actually a crucial part of us hiring you compared to other candidates was that we saw your video series and we knew that you can be able to talk to customers, have a conversation, understand what are some needs of what college students want, and that's exactly kind of what we want your mindset to be as you're going to be a product manager for our team. So I think that that's one real life example where personal branding actually works in real time.
Yeah, 100%. That's a fantastic story because a lot of people they hear about all this stuff, but they don't hear the stories of
you
like how it actually
stories,
you want the success stories. But I mean, on the same point, like just putting out content on LinkedIn is not going to help. So that's the other thing that a lot of people don't understand. So just resharing stuff all the time or not adding their added value. So if it's not adding value to another person or another student, at the end of the day, you're not going to get high levels of engagement, and it's not going to really show this thought leadership that we're talking about or this personal branding. So that's important as well. Is don't just reshare stuff fun. Provide your own thought processes, your own opinions about stuff, and not on just opinions, but like more like factual information, your own research on it and all that.
Right. I think, I mean, I also empathize with students because it's very difficult to, put yourself out there and post as well. So I think that, a suggestion that I always give students is that, try liking a post. If once you get to liking, you try commenting. When we talk about SEO, the more interactions or engagement that you have on LinkedIn, the higher your profile actually ranks as well. So try commenting that and maybe support your peer and be like, oh, great job on getting a new internship or something. And then once you feel comfortable, then maybe start making a post about your class, something that's a little more familiar. But then you also talked about value-driven content as well. I think that one interesting thing that I always see as well is, again, I don't shoot them down because again it's very hard to post content, but I think having content that's value driven as well. One thing I like that other people do is that maybe they teach a workshop, but then they also say what are my learning outcomes or what's something that had an interesting conversation instead of saying, oh, I taught a workshop, and I'm like, that's great, and I applaud you for that, but I want to know what you gain, what you learn, and that's exactly what going back to that recruiter mindset or a hiring manager, they're also wanting to know what you got out of it, what you taught. So I think that when advice for even starting to make content, having that framework in mind of being value driven helps a lot too.
Awesome.